Oh, mate, some people have a very pessimistic view of life, mate. Like, here I am, I'm getting ready to fly off to Australia for 2 months, and don't really have room for fresh underwear, clean underwear in my, this is what I'm bringing, okay? This is all my worldly goods are going in here, but I got lots of Crystal Light, and I got lots of beef organ extract, and I've also got the Crystal Light lemonade, and I've got lots of magnesium to take the edge off. And what else have I got? I've got some lemon balm leaf, and when you get to my age, you don't want to forget that beta-sitoral plant sterols. It reduces you getting up in the middle of the night to constantly pee. And by the way, I took my PCR DNA test. I am COVID-free. COVID-free. Freedom! Sydney, Australia, here I come. I haven't been in Sydney, mate. I have not been in Sydney since 1985. 36 years. And I grew up like 2 hours outside of Sydney. So I got my supplements. I've got my gallbladder formula. Right, so I got all my supplements, and I got my electronics, so I can do some like high quality live streams from down under. But some people just have a very pessimistic perspective on life. Like, they want to know, like, what's my Aussie tax ID number? Yeah, I've got an Aussie tax ID number. I've worked in Australia. I'm an upstanding citizen. But like, people want to put me to work in like manual labor. And I said, mate, why would you want to put the greatest writer of his generation to work in manual labor when he could be making untold riches off YouTube, sharing about his feelings? Like, I am looking forward to 2 months of unpacking my feelings. Like, I'm looking forward to being a good friend to myself. I'm looking forward to having a good listen to myself and to my innermost yearnings and desires. And my innermost yearnings and desires, are not centered around packing mulch into plastic bags, right? I'm like getting my hands dirty. Like, these hands were born for blogging and vlogging and flogging. Like, these are not the hands of someone who does manual labor anymore, right? I did manual labor in the past and it sucked. I mean, it's all well and good for a certain stage in your life. But hey, Sydney, freedom, eating mangoes, journaling about my feelings, watching the cricket is going to be epic. I mean, after all the Sturm and Drang, the intensity and the pressure of my high-profile streaming life, I deserve to take the edge off. So Sydney, here I come. I'm going to leave for the airport shortly. And I'm gonna might even put on a jacket and a nice shirt and a fancy pair of jeans, and go back to Australia for the first time in 7.5 years. 7.5 years, mate. That's how long it's been since I've been down under. I bought a laptop today. I'm prepared. I don't just have my gallbladder formula. All right, got my laptop, I got my high quality cam, I'm packing a journal so I can unpack my feelings. I'm telling my sponsees, hey, you gotta give 40 a break. Like 40 needs to take the edge off and just put his feet up. And who knows, maybe we'll say hello to the Prime Minister. And maybe we'll hear some good quality abides with me. So here I come, Sydney, Australia. Man, oh man, glad you didn't see me pleading for help from the lovely black female bus drivers. Man.
I can't believe how emotionally volatile I've been the last few days. Like some days, what I do is like kind of lie on the floor, toss and turn. Like I might get up and go, got up and left. Like I don't care about anything. Nothing. Except the Dallas Cowboys. God forbid, God forbid. And then getting on the bus, to go do some work for a client. And the bus, for the first time since I've taken it, goes in a whole new direction. And I'm absolutely thrown. I have like 1/5 of a panic attack just because the bus takes a new direction. And then I'm running 10 minutes late for an appointment, having like 1/10 of a panic attack. And I'm just walking down the road, and there are these burly construction workers with their implements, and I feel absolutely helpless. I'm thinking, wow, if one of them charged at me right now, I'd be absolutely defenseless. I am like completely reverting to childish helplessness at age 55. Not a good life. And I figured out why I'm experiencing this emotional volatility. So stay tuned for that and more coming up on the 40 Show. So then I get around people I like, and then boom, my confidence just spikes up, and I feel good, and I feel powerful, and I feel strong. And I get all my work done, and then boom, I lose a good earner. Like just when I was getting like this high quality work done, it's like boom, I lost it. And then I try to gather up, years and years of possessions that I'm no longer going to need in this one place. I'm just lugging it into the Uber, and the Uber driver doesn't speak English, and I don't say a word, and we just silently drive through the dark Los Angeles rush hour traffic. And then I get
attention in the terminal. Will Belinda, I see. Please report back to TSA checkpoint for Los Ida. Again, that's Belinda, I see.
LAX.
Please report back to TSA checkpoint for Los Ida.
And I get the flash, I should get back to Australia for a couple of months. Like refresh myself. And here I am. So I got that thought Monday night. And what's this? Is this Tuesday night? This is Tuesday night.
Attention in the terminal. Belinda, I see. Please report back to TSA checkpoint. Again, that's Belinda, I see. Please report back to TSA checkpoint for Los
Ida. I bought my first ticket at 9
Ida.
a.m. this morning, I think. And then I got my negative PCR DNA PCR test for COVID about 9:30 a.m. Then I cancelled my first flight, booked a second one to go straight into Sydney. So I'll be arriving in Sydney Thursday afternoon, Thursday Arvo. I'm going to spend about a month in Sydney, then a month in Queensland, maybe. Situation's still volatile. But not as volatile as me. Like I left the house this evening for my trip to Australia.
Attention travelers and employees. Federal law requires wearing a mask at all times while at the airport. Refusal to wear a mask may result in removal and denial of re-entry. Violators may also be subject to further penalties under federal law. Please remember, face masks must cover an individual's mouth and nose. Learn more at flylax.com/travel safely.
I get back home, grab my passport and driver's license and credit cards and cash, and get back on the bus and I transfer, and I'm sitting there waiting for the transfer bus, and it never comes. Like, and I'm looking at the app, and it's just passing me by. So finally a different bus comes. I say, hey, how do I get to LAX? I say, oh, you got to go down a block. I can't believe how helpless I am. Like, it's nice. I'm just relying on the kindness of strangers. It's really pathetic. I'm like a 9-year-old. Well, no, I'm not going to judge myself. So this nice, there's a white bus driver. You don't see many of those. He helped me out. He drove me a block. And then I get on the bus, and they don't take my app pass, and I don't even have $1. I don't even have $1. That's how unprepared I am. I've got a whole bunch of 20s. I don't even have $1. So I'm riding the bus for free. I'm a fare jumper. Like I'm a criminal. And the very nice black lady bus driver says, hey, that pass.
Attention at the terminal. Philippine Airlines is paging for the following passengers. Passenger Año Nuevo, Peter. Passenger Azucenas, Neil. Passenger Crescential, James Ian. Passenger Escote, LP John. Passenger Javier, Romeo. Passenger Las Marias.
And I get off the bus.
Passenger Mancoy, Alberto. Passenger Nakita Rodel, Passenger Salas Vasquez Arturo, Passenger Sanchez, Jerry Braille, Passenger Santiago Michael, Passenger Soriano Mark, Passenger Vasquez Flora, Passenger Celebrelia, and Passenger Davis Army. If you heard your name, please approach the podium at gate 205, gate 205 to verify your documents and have your boarding passes reissued. Thank you and bye-bye.
These unbelievable levels of fear. And the nice lady bus driver says, oh, do you want me to point out when we get to Terminal B? I was like, yeah, please. She says, oh, please keep your seat, because I'm like walking up the bus to talk to her. Oh, I feel like I've lugged my 50-pound bag 2 or 3 miles this evening, and I'm wiped. I'm not sleeping. I can't drink enough water. I'm just constantly thirsty. And then I have a valid American passport, but that's not good enough to get to Australia. My Australian passport's out of date, so they have to call Australian Customs. And, the nice Fijian lady, like, standing there and holding for like 20 minutes, finally get permission to board. I've got a new Australian passport, don't I? Yeah, I've got dual passports, man. Australian and American. And I'm just all over the place. I mean, I don't remember when I last felt this intensity of fear and helplessness. Now, the one good thing I will say for myself is I'm not aware of my selfishness hurting other people the last few days. So I'll give myself credit for that, and I also give myself credit for doing the things I need to do. But anyway, why am I having these unbelievable levels of fear and helplessness and just feeling completely inadequate to the task of being an adult? Like, why do I just want to shrink back to my room and avoid the wider world? And I got the answer when I was sick a couple of weeks ago. I stopped going to 12-step meetings, and I haven't really resumed. I mean, I've kind of showed up, but not really paid attention. And I've listened to some 12-step talks, but not really paid attention. So I've gotten off my spiritual path. And yeah, I know this sounds over-determined, and it sounds like an addict talking, and it sounds like crazy talk, but something that made sense is because I've gotten off my program. I haven't been meeting with sponsees very much the last 2 weeks, and so I kind of lost a lot of the vigor of my 12-step programs, and I've relapsed to my helpless, fearful, frightened fellow who just wants to make his life as small as possible. And so there's a lot of peace and understanding why I'm in this spiritual mess right now. I mean, I last experienced this maybe 3 months ago. I was standing around on a Shabbos, and I was just thinking negative thoughts about people. Thinking negative thoughts about them and negative thoughts about myself, and feeling a tremendous amount of fear and not wanting to engage with anyone. And suddenly I realized it's because I hadn't done any 12-step work that day. Like, if I don't do 12-step work every day, then I become much more vulnerable. I need a power greater than myself to restore me to sanity. So it feels so good to have that clarity about what exactly has gone wrong. Why I've turned into such a labile mess. They haven't been working my program. I haven't been getting out meetings. I haven't been talking to my sponsors.
May I have your attention on boarding area, please? For passengers on flight 1811 with services to Nandi, Fiji, is checked in from WestJet, Air Canada, Alaska, or American. You still have those boarding passes. Please proceed in front of the podium for a very important message with your travel documents. Once again, passengers on flight FJ1811 is still holding WestJet, Air Canada,
so the PCR test costs
Alaska,
like $185.
boarding passes, please proceed to the front of the podium with your travel documents.
$200 price to
we're going to start with any guests that
leave
need extra
Australia.
time. Please proceed at the gate
$200
134.
like exit
Pre-boarding
price
please
to
for
leave
flight
Australia.
DS24.
The penal colony charges you if you want to leave. But Australia's opening up, so flying into Sydney where there aren't mandatory quarantines, and there aren't mandatory quarantines anyway for Australian citizens, but it's a complicated world and it's constantly changing, which is only right and good because COVID and the various strains and the threats they pose are also constantly changing. So in Victoria there are like 900 new cases a day, but in Queensland there are 0 new cases. So good on you, Queensland. So I think New South Wales is more than 80% double vaccinated. Queensland's about 70% double vaccinated. I think Victoria's about 80% double vaccinated. Overall, Australia's had very low COVID rates. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's because of the measures that they've taken, all right? Yeah. Four seems to be going through. Yeah, God, if you saw like the pleading, sniveling, desperate me over the past 2 hours, like pleading for help from the nice black lady bus drivers, like absolutely bewildered by ordinary adult tasks, just consumed by fear, inadequacy, helplessness, confusion, and it's because I haven't been working my program. So of course I could be completely delusional and has absolutely nothing to do with my program, but that's how I'm understanding it. But at least I maintain an attitude of humility. I'm getting along really well with people. Yeah, 40's been off lately. Yeah, I have. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a bit of a wreck. Dreadstream. Yeah, Dreadstream. That's it, man. Just dread and helplessness and fear and like, where's the bus? Like, how was I to know that the new bus stop is like a block down by exposition?
스타일라인스
아시아나항공사
안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 금일 다른 항공사를 이용하여 이곳 LA에 도착하신 손님 중 아직까지도 아시아나 탑승권으로 변하지 않은 손님께서는 탑승구 157번, 탑승구 157번을 오셔서 아시아나 직원의 안내를 받아주시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? This announcement is from Asiana Airlines. If you still have other airlines boarding passes,
I feel like a 5-year-old boy who's being asked to fly to Australia on his own. Like my brother and sister are not like this. Oh man. So last time I went back to Australia was like May of 2014, and I was so ashamed because then I'd been carrying over $50,000 in credit card debt for 5 years. I borrowed all this money to do my Alexander Technique teacher training, and then I wasn't able to monetize it. I was working at $18 an hour. I was making no progress paying down my credit card debt. And what was giving my life some meaning and excitement was that I was getting into the alt-right. You know, human biodiversity, Steve Saylor, American Renaissance, all that. But my life was a wreck. And I was just so ashamed to run into all my relatives who are just doing so much better than I. All the people I used to know when I lived in Tatham Sands, Australia for a year after high school, they're all doing so much better than me, like married, kids, beautiful homes, like retirement funds, and regular vacations. And there was just the gap between the lives around me and the life that I was living. I was saying, well, 40 years, going back to leaving Australia, came
May I
back
have
to
your
America
attention
because
to
you
boarding
haven't
area,
done
please.
very
PG
well.
Airways flight FJ1811 is paging
This is
for
not-
Shiro Money.
That's not me.
Once again, passenger Shiro Money.
This thing
Please
you
proceed
get-
from the
this
podium
thing
with
you get to
the
see the warm, friendly
your travel
TSA
documents,
folks.
Bianca.
Yes. That's truly something to look forward to. And I can't wait. I wonder what I've forgotten
서울랜스
to do.
아시아나항공에서 손님을 찾습니다.
So,
금일 아시아나항공 오지
I think I've dotted all my I's and crossed my T's and been a responsible adult.
황정희
I
손님,
bought a laptop
김정연
so that
손님,
I can
김정연
do some
손님,
high quality streams from
정수경
Australia.
손님, 정수경 손님, 이예진 손님, 이예진 손님께서는 탑승구 157번, 탑승구
And all these people are
157번
now in
오셔서
Sydney
아시아나
who-
직원 안내를
who-
받아주시기 바랍니다.
Like, who's
감사합니다.
that? Is it Jim Bowman? Who's that guy? That raucous Catholic lawyer dude who's on the stream all the time? Jim somebody. Like, I should be able to see him. I sent him an email. I sent Drew Fraser, the Aussie academic who wrote the WASP question. Sent him an email, see if we could meet up. Like friends from childhood. I have friends who are professors in Sydney. So I haven't been back to Sydney since June of 1985. I grew up 2 hours outside of Sydney. I really want to go back to Avondale. I wonder if anyone has offered to take me back to Avondale. That's where I grew up. That's where my dad was chair of the religion department. It's not that I'm awash, I don't think, with warm feelings about the place. But I want to go back. That was home. Yeah, Jim Bowden. Yeah, I'm going to meet up with Jim Bowden. I hope. I mean, there's a whole part of the 40verse who resides in Sydney. And then I've also got friends in Brizzy from the 40verse. So really love is all around us. And I'm feeling better already. So step 1, admit I'm powerless. Step 2, admit BG's used to drink and brawl in the streets of Sydney. Admit that there's a power greater than myself who can restore me to sanity. Step 3, make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of the higher power as I understand it. Yeah, 40 University has branch campuses in Sydney, in Brisbane, New York, San Francisco. Oh man. So, have you even read John Locke, dude? So I brought one book with me, like a physical book. It's John Locke's Treatises on Government. Come on, have you even read John Locke, bro? So I got John Locke's Treatises on Government. So John Locke's not exactly the most scintillating writer, but I got him with me, and I downloaded all of Edward Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. It's on my Audible app. So I can listen to Decline and Fall for the next 20 hours on the good ship Lollipop all the way to Australia. So anyone done any international flying during the age of COVID? Seems to be coming back. But man, you have to get PCR tests before you go, then before you leave. $200 a pop, man. Not cheap. Maybe I'll go to work and these tables look Alexander Technique ready to get motivated and start grinding, bro. My brother wants to put me to work in the Tanham Garden Centre. Like, get my hands dirty. Like, these are hands built for typing. These are hands built for tweeting and blogging. These are hands built for writing out YouTube video descriptions. Not really built for hard manual labor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Singapore Airlines is paging for the following customers.
Bye-bye. Look, you gotta help me out here. Do you hear a ringing? Or is this like, do I have tinnitus? I've just been hearing this ringing. Do you hear a ringing? Make it stop. Jesus.
It's definitely the Nike headphones.
They're coming to get us. Why on earth? What is that ringing sound? I'm trying to do a high quality live stream here, and the ringing won't stop. Man, I tend to have a lot of intense emotions when I get on planes. I think getting on planes makes me reassess my life. I can't fool myself. Oh, you can hear the ringing too? I thought I was the only one. Like when I get on a plane somehow, I get out of my routine. I get transported into a new environment. And then that breaks down my defenses. Tim Humphreys. G'day, mate. How things in Queensland? 0 cases, I hear. Make this ringing stop. Look, I'm already emotionally fragile enough. It's crazy. What is that sound? But yeah, there's something about getting on an airplane that robs me of my natural defenses. I guess I tend to surround myself with distractions like, Jesus, it's getting louder, it's getting worse. Like sports and movies and books and routine. And then the big plane trip, it takes you out of the routine, it robs you of your defenses, and you're forced to take a cold, hard look at yourself. And there's no escape. When you're on the plane, right, you can't run away. It's like, if you look at my blog from July 2000, I had this really strong emotional reaction when I was flying to Israel. I was just filled with self-loathing for my blogging about the pornography industry. It's like, you know, what on earth am I doing here? I converted to Orthodox Judaism and I'm making my living, blogging gossip about porn stars, how far have I fallen? Just a few years earlier, I was condemning my stepmom for gossip, and I was condemning all sorts of people for gossip, and here I was making my living from it. I remember I had a friend in the industry, and he mentioned some famous saying that you can tell someone's character by how they earn their living. Do you hear that ringing too? Is it just me? And it's like, oh God, I make my living, it was 21 years ago, from blogging about the pornography industry with a great deal of gossip about the personal lives of these actors and actresses in an independent genre. The reason I ended up getting Israel was at a Jewish singles event in early 2000. I'd run into this rabbi, and he said to me, first thing he said to me, when I went over to talk to him at this Jewish singles event, he said, how is your soul? Oh, so you can hear the ringing too. I just thought maybe I was cracking up. I thought 40 was losing it. Like, make the ringing stop. But the ringing, it's like the call of the shofar. It's like piercing to the very essence of my soul. And I can't ignore it. I can't run from it. I can't distract myself from it. Okay, Jim Bowden, I'm going to see you in Sydney, mate. I'm flying in at 12:40 on Thursday afternoon, mate. So I should be in and around Sydney for a month. So we'll have to catch up. Excellent, mate. I'm going to see you real soon. We're going to have some laughs, mate. I feel like this ringing is returning me to sanity. It's like, it's so annoying that it's cutting through the BS. So moving and flying and travel and changes in routine these just expose the raw ends of my psyche. And so all the BS that I'm able to spew and I'm protected by my routine, well, all that protection goes away. So I remember my therapist said to me, and maybe you'll only get well if you put down your gun, meaning your blog. Like we have all these things to distract ourselves and to protect ourselves. Maybe we'll only get well if we put down our protections, we put down our guns, we put down our distractions, we put down all the things that we think keep us safe. Back later, mate. How are you, mate? So, there's some really positive people in life. And like my friend Rocky Anderson, like in high school, my good bud Rocky, just always a positive person, man. Just always made me feel good. Even now, at age 55, it's like still like bucking me out, making me feel good. But I was just thinking, one possible difference between Australia and America is that it's a little harder to live in your delusions in Australia. Like, Americans tend to be more polite, and also Americans tend to be less socially cohesive. So Americans don't generally care enough about you to tell you that you're a nutter. But Australians will tell you without any fear that you're a nutter. So the kind of life that I've lived, blogging about the pornography industry for 10 years and converted to Orthodox Judaism, it's the equivalent of a grown man running off and joining the circus and just joining a circus after another circus after another circus after another circus. Like I'm always joining a new circus. And I don't think that would be possible in Australia. So for good and for ill, perhaps. So there's probably a lot more tall poppy syndrome in Australia, locked down the tall poppies, but Australia has more of one culture, and in America you can live an incredibly insulated life with just like one narrow peer group, maybe Orthodox Jews or your fellow real estate developers or your friends who are really into Dungeons and Dragons. Can't really do that in Australia as much.
Atención en la terminal, clientes de Volaris que nos acompañan en el vuelo 919 destino a Guadalajara Conexiones.
They're going to say, "Forty, what the hell did you get out of moving to the States and staying in the States? You've got nothing to show for it. Like, look at all of us. We've all own our own homes. We've got money set aside for retirement. We're married. We've got kids. We've got grandkids. We've been in the same profession for 35 years, and that's not as true in America. Now, Australia and America are equally mobile societies from what I've read. But in America, there's so many people that you can pretty much just hang out with the groups that you want to hang out with, and general people will just ignore you if they find you freaky or just not worth bothering with. While in Australia, they'll call you out, they'll yell at you, they'll humiliate you, they'll confront you, they'll put you down, they'll get in your face. I often find going back to Australia, it's like going into an emotional blowtorch, because Americans by comparison are just so polite and nice and friendly. But Australians are blunt and dirty and down and dirty.